Lughnasadh or Lammas is celebrated on August Eve or August the 1st and is the festival of the first harvest. Lammas is the Anglo-Saxon name for the festival, meaning loaf mass. Lughnasadh is the festival of Lugh, a Celtic god of light and fire and god of crafts and skills. His Welsh form is Llawgufus, and in the Mabinogion, the story of Blodeuwydd and Llew, the theme of Llew as the sacrificed god can be seen. We need, of course, to consider the pre-Christian origins of the story. Gronw in this story can be seen as the dark god of the waning year, and Llew as the bright lord of the waxing year. Blodeuwydd represents the goddess in her flower maiden aspect. Lammas, or Lughnasadh, then, has the theme of the sacrificed god of the harvest, but he is sacrificed and transformed rather than descending into the underworld to become Lord of Death, which comes later in the year. Lammas is a time of the fullness of life and a celebration of the bountiful earth. It is a time of the sacrificial mating of goddess and god, where the corn king, given life by the goddess and tasting of her love, is sacrificed and transformed into bread and ale which feeds us. The main themes of Lammas may therefore be seen as thanksgiving to the goddess for her bountiful harvest, stating our hopes for what we wish to harvest, for Lammas is the very beginning of the harvest. Sacrifice, transformation, and a sharing of the energy of the corn king. A simple solitary ritual for Lammas may be performed by setting up an altar with a sheaf of wheat or barley or a piece of bread and some ale or water. A quiet place outdoors is always preferable, but it can be performed indoors wherever you can set up a space. Cast your circle in whichever way you prefer, or visualize a sphere of love and protection around yourself. Feel the energy of the earth and ground and center yourself. Call on the elements at the quarters, the four directions, asking for the fresh breeze of inspiration and clarity in the east, the fire of transformation in the south, the waters of life and love in the west, and the abundance of the earth in the north. Call on the goddess as the bountiful lady, Habundia, Ceridwen, Ddimetir, Ceres, Cori, with her cornucopia or horn of plenty pouring forth the fruits of life. Imagine her with sheaves of wheat in her arms, bringing all to fruition. She is the maiden, the Cori, the potential in us waiting to be harvested. She is the mother of all life. All fruits of the earth are fruits of her womb. And she is the crone, the reaper who cuts the corn and transforms it in her cauldron of change. State what you hope to harvest this year, either stating it aloud or in your mind. Now invoke the god as Lugh, Lord of light and fire, and as the corn king. Feel the sun on your body. Imagine it in your mind's eye if you're indoors. And contemplate the healing and nourishing power of the sun. For even if you are indoors and cannot have the sun directly on your body, the sun is always warming the earth and nourishing all that grows. Contemplate how the sun has warmed and nourished the earth and the crops, and how the sun god has made the earth fertile. He reached his highest point at the summer solstice, and his power now has begun to wane, yet still he is strong, still he warms the earth and enlivens the crops. The spirit of the sun is embodied in the crops. The corn king is the sun god on earth. Visualize fields of ripe corn and the spirit of the god dancing in the cornfields. The Ballad of John Barleycorn is a traditional English ballad which tells the tale of the Lord of the Corn. So the Ballad of John Barleycorn may be sung, played, or contemplated, perhaps dancing or acting out parts of the story. Then think about what you want to change or transform in yourself or your life. What habits will you change? What sacrifice will you make? Contemplate this and make a statement, a pledge to the goddess. Bless the bread and the ale or water, and know that this is the body and spirit of the Corn King, filled with the power of the sun and life. Pour a libation to the earth, giving back to the mother some of what she has given out, and then drink the rest of the liquid, drinking in the energy of the god, and eat the bread, eating of the life that ever dies and is reborn, leaving a little bread as an offering. Even if you have to pour the libation down the sink, it is still returning to the earth and is still a libation to the earth. Feel the power of transformation. Be enlivened by the power of the god and feel the love of the goddess. You may wish to dance, sing, etc. Thank the god for his sacrifice and his energy. Thank the goddess for her bounty. Thank the elements, and then close the circle. There are many versions of the traditional Ballad of John Barleycorn, but I'm now going to play a version sung and performed by a friend of mine, Steve Andrews, with his permission.
There were three men came out of the west, their fortune for to try. And these three men made a solemn vow, John Barleycorn should die. They took a plough and ploughed him down, threw clods all on his head. And these three men made a solemn vow, John Barleycorn was dead. They let him lie for a very long time, till the rain from heaven did fall. And little Sir John, he raised up his head, and so amazed them all. They let him lie through the summer sun, till he looked all pale and wan. And little Sir John grew a long, long beard, and so became a man. They hired men with a scythe so sharp to cut him all down by the knee. They roped and tied him around by the waist, served him most barbarously. They hired men with pitchforks to pierce him to the heart. But the loader, he served him more barbarous than that, for he bound him to the cart. They filled up a darksome pit with water to the brim, and heaved in poor John Barleycorn, and let him sink or swim. wasted over a scorching flame, the marrow of his bone. But the miller, he served him more barbarous than that, for he crowned him with fleece and stone. Here's little Sir John in the nut brown bowl, and brandy in a glass. And little Sir John in the nut brown bowl grew a stronger man at last. For the hunter he can't hunt the fox, or so loudly blow his horn. And the tinker he can't mend his kettles or his pots without a little bit of John, a little bit of John Barleycorn.
Hail to the Corn King. Hail to the bountiful Mother of Earth. Blessed be.